Scotty Barnes' journey from the rough streets of Riviera Beach to one of the most remarkable stat lines in Toronto Raptors history feels almost unreal. In a matchup against Golden State, Barnes delivered a performance for the ages. 23 points, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists. That triple-double tied a Raptors franchise record. Today he's a two-time All-Star and the face of a $270 million max extension, the richest deal the team has ever handed out. But if you rewind to draft night, the reaction around the basketball world was the complete opposite. Many critics claimed Toronto had wasted the pick on a player who couldn't even shoot. So how did a kid from one of Florida's toughest neighborhoods grow into an NBA star? Scotty Barnes was born on August 1st, 2001 in West Palm Beach, Florida. But the place that truly shaped him was nearby Riviera Beach, a small city known for its high crime rates and streets where drugs were part of everyday life. Just across the bridge sat Palm Beach, home to billionaires and luxury estates. The two places were separated by only a short distance, but they felt like entirely different worlds. At home, Barnes was raised by his mother, Kathleen Wilkins, who was raising 4 kids on her own. She worked wherever she could, sometimes as a nursing assistant, other times as a security guard, and even at a call center. Long shifts blended into early mornings, all so her children could have what they needed. The family moved frequently, and before the divorce, arguments between Barnes' parents were common. Stability was rare. Years later, Barnes would say his mother gave up everything she had so her kids could walk into school with confidence. Even during times when there wasn't much at home. For Barnes, basketball wasn't just a hobby or a dream, it was an escape. Night after night, he showed up at the Salvation Army gym, running pickup games against grown men in their 40s and 50s. There were no referees, no organized structure, just winner stays on. It was tough, physical basketball, and it forced him to grow up fast. When Barnes reflects on those early years, he sums them up simply. He was in the trenches, and toughness was the only way out. The court became the one place where the chaos of the streets couldn't follow him, and the person who ultimately changed the direction of his life wasn't a famous scout or a big-name college coach from a powerhouse program.
On a professional level, like when you look at it in the NBA, who would you say is an influence for you? Who is somebody you maybe modeled your game off of?
I would definitely say my stepfather, John.
The person who stepped in wasn't a big-time recruiter or a nationally known coach. It was an AAU coach named John Simpson, originally from Queens, New York. By day, Simpson worked for a food company in Florida, and on the side, he coached youth basketball. Coaching hadn't always been his plan. At one point, Simpson actually walked away from it when his job started demanding more of his time. But everything changed when he heard devastating news. One of the players he had previously coached had been killed during a gang-related incident. That moment stayed with him. Simpson felt like he had abandoned the kids who needed guidance the most. From that day forward, he promised himself he would never step away again. Then one day, while watching games at the Salvation Army League, Simpson noticed a young Scotty Barnes on the court. It didn't take long for him to realize he was looking at something special. In Barnes' size, vision, and feel for the game, Simpson saw flashes of a legendary player, Magic Johnson.
Be Magic, my dad, he always wanted me to watch Magic, look at like clips that he always done.
Simpson eventually asked Barnes to join his AAU squad, the Wellington Wolves. From there, their bond developed quickly. Simpson didn't just work with him on drills and fundamentals, he spent real time with him. They went out for meals, caught movies together, and slowly built something Barnes had rarely experienced growing up: stability. By the time Barnes reached 5th grade, he made a life-changing move. He began living with the Simpson family in Wellington, inside a gated neighborhood that felt worlds away from the streets of Riviera Beach. Part of the reason was simple. He wanted to take some of the pressure off his mother, who had been carrying the weight of raising the family for years. In that household, Simpson's son, Jason, quickly became more than a teammate or friend. He became like a brother. One small moment early on revealed just how different Barnes' new environment was. One night, Simpson brought home chicken wings from Publix. As soon as the food hit the table, Barnes rushed over and grabbed every drumstick he could. In his mind, if he didn't move fast, there might not be any left for him. Simpson stopped him and gently explained something Barnes wasn't used to hearing: that in this house, food wasn't something he had to fight for. There would always be enough. For the first time, Barnes had a real sense of stability beneath him, a foundation, and with that foundation in place, he was ready to build something extraordinary, something Florida basketball had never quite seen before. When Barnes arrived at Cardinal Newman High School, he made his presence known immediately, dominating the competition from the start. During his freshman season at Cardinal Newman, Barnes wasted no time making an impact. Playing under head coach Toivoras Harris, he helped guide the team to a 19-8 record and a trip to the regional semifinals. Harris quickly realized he had something special on his hands. Barnes wasn't just holding his own, he was making plays most upperclassmen struggled to pull off. For a freshman to control the game the way he did was rare. His performances didn't go unnoticed. Max Preps recognized Barnes as a freshman All-American, a sign that his rise in the basketball world was already underway. But as impressive as his start had been, the level of competition around him still wasn't quite where it needed to be. Looking for a bigger stage, Barnes transferred to NSU University School in Fort Lauderdale. There, he joined forces with Vernon Carey Jr., who at the time was the top-ranked junior in the country. With both of them on the same roster, the duo quickly became a nightmare for opponents. Barnes' sophomore season turned into something special. NSU University School stormed to a 36-2 record and captured the program's first ever Class 5 A-State championship. In the title game, Barnes delivered a clutch performance with 15 points and 8 rebounds, earning MVP honors at the City of Palms Classic. His dominance carried over to the national stage as well. At Geeko Nationals, Barnes averaged 21.3 points and 9.7 rebounds per game, even recording a triple-double during the tournament. The following year, his junior season brought more of the same success. NSU once again claimed a state championship, finishing with a 27-5 record. This time, Barnes had to shoulder even more responsibility after Vernon Carey Jr. suffered an injury during the championship game. Over his 2 seasons at NSU, Barnes helped turn the program into a powerhouse. The team went an incredible 63-7, winning 2 state titles and earning back-to-back trips to Geeko Nationals. But both runs at a national championship ended the same way, with tough losses to the powerhouse squad from Montverde Academy.
Geiko High School National Champions, Montverde.
Losing to the same powerhouse program twice left a mark. Montverde Academy had ended NSU's national title hopes 2 years in a row, and Barnes now faced a choice that could shape the rest of his career. At an EYBL camp, a Montverde coach approached him about joining the program. Barnes didn't hesitate with his response. At the time, he had no interest in wearing their jersey. He wanted the chance to beat them, but things started to shift later on at a USA basketball camp. There, Barnes was assigned to share a room with Cade Cunningham. The two quickly clicked, building a strong connection almost immediately. Before long, Cunningham handed Barnes the phone and connected him with Montverde's head coach Kevin Boyle. That conversation changed everything. By the time his senior season arrived, Barnes had decided to make the move. Alongside Cade Cunningham and Dayron Sharp, he became a central piece of what would turn into one of the most stacked high school teams ever assembled. That Montverde squad rolled through the season without a single loss, finishing 25-0 while beating opponents by an astonishing average of nearly 40 points per game. And most teams never even had a chance to keep it competitive. Barnes continued to shine during that run, earning his second City of Palms Classic MVP award. His performances also secured him a spot as a McDonald's All-American, one of the highest honors in high school basketball. Unfortunately, the game itself was canceled due to COVID before he ever had the chance to take the floor. But Barnes didn't slow down when the stage got bigger. Even in international competition, he showed the same level of dominance. Barnes also built an impressive record with USA Basketball, capturing 3 straight gold medals while representing his country. By the time his high school career came to an end, his resume was stacked. 2 state championships, an undefeated national season, 3 international gold medals, and the admiration of scouts across the country. On October 14th, 2019, Barnes announced his commitment to Florida State. What followed during his lone college season turned into one of the most unusual award resumes college basketball had seen in years. Playing under head coach Leonard Hamilton, Barnes' role didn't follow the typical path expected from a 5-star recruit. Some nights he was in the starting lineup, and other nights he came off the bench. To outsiders and national media, the rotation seemed puzzling. Inside the Florida State program, though it was completely intentional, Barnes wasn't asked to be the team's primary scorer. His value came from everything else he brought to the floor: defense, playmaking, energy, and versatility. He had the size to battle inside, the strength to handle physical matchups, matchups and the instincts to impact the game in countless ways. The result was a season that produced recognition unlike anything the ACC had really seen before.
But he's also strong enough to play inside, so I think that fits.
During that season, Barnes accomplished something the ACC had never seen before. He was voted Freshman of the Year with 53 votes, and in the very same year, he also captured Sixth Man of the Year with 39 votes. No player in conference history had ever been recognized as both the top freshman and the best player coming off the bench in the same season. He also earned a spot on the All-ACC third team. Statistically, Barnes averaged 10.3 points, 4.0 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. On paper, those numbers didn't exactly leap off the page, but anyone who actually had to compete against him knew the impact went far beyond the stat sheet. Barnes brought elite playmaking, the ability to guard multiple positions, exceptional court vision, and a basketball mind that already looked ready for the NBA level.
Can't finish. Harassed, here's Barnes. Oh, is that pretty?
As the draft process unfolded, opinions on Barnes were all over the place. Some scouts believed he had the tools to become the centerpiece of a franchise, a versatile defender capable of guarding every position while elevating the teammates around him. Others weren't convinced. They pointed to his lack of a reliable jump shot, questioned what position he truly played, and doubted whether he had the scoring ability expected from a top 5 pick. Those opposing viewpoints followed him throughout the entire pre-draft conversation. After just one season at Florida State, Barnes declared for the NBA draft. When draft night finally arrived, his name would become tied to the most debated decision of the entire event. On July 29, 2021, the Toronto Raptors held the 4th overall pick. Nearly every mock draft and analyst predicted the same outcome, Jalen Suggs. But Masai Ujiri and the Raptors front office had something else in mind. When the pick was announced, they called Scottie Barnes' name, and the reaction across the basketball world was immediate. Social media exploded. Many labeled the selection a reach. Analysts questioned the decision and whether Barnes truly fit the roster. From that moment on, the Suggs versus Barnes debate was born. And it quickly became a comparison that would follow him for years.
Barnes, talking to Leonard Hamilton and watching tape, he's a mixture of Magic Johnson and Scottie.
Toronto's decision, though controversial, was straightforward. They prioritized a player who could defend multiple positions, seamlessly switch on the court, and bring relentless competitiveness, valuing those traits over a more refined offensive skill set.
Like, how surprised are you that Scottie Barnes goes here? I mean, I thought we were looking at Jalen Suggs.
One small detail from Toronto's pre-draft process spoke volumes about Barnes' mindset. In a single interview, he casually mentioned winning 34 times, a quiet testament to his obsession with success. He officially signed his rookie scale contract on August 8, 2021. In the months leading up to the draft, Barnes traveled to Santa Barbara for a hike and even FaceTimed his mother while gazing at the luxury homes in Monaco, pointing to one and telling her, "One day, that'll be yours." The same kid who once sprinted for every drumstick at the dinner table had become a top 5 NBA draft pick. Meanwhile, the debate over his selection continued to rage all summer.
To the table, and he does seem like a guy that fits well.
Barnes needed just one season to quiet every critic, and he didn't take time to find his footing. He made an immediate impact in the NBA. From opening night on October 20th, 2021, it was clear he belonged. He seamlessly rotated across every position in Nick Nurse's defensive scheme, pushed the pace in transition, and made reads that most rookies aren't even ready to see.
He was the top 3 prospect in the draft, right behind Suggs.
The positionless label that had puzzled scouts during his college days suddenly clicked within Toronto's switch-heavy system. As a rookie, Barnes put up 15.3 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game, numbers that only told part of the story. The rest was his relentless energy, defensive flexibility, and the way he lifted everyone around him to play harder.
Barnes from straight away.
On April 23, 2022, the NBA officially recognized his impact, naming Scottie Barnes the Rookie of the Year. Barnes became the first Raptor to earn Rookie of the Year honors since Vince Carter back in 1999, but the celebration was short-lived. Playoff basketball brought his first real setback. In the opening round against Philadelphia, he started strong, posting a double-double in his playoff debut. Then, in Game 1, a sprained left ankle struck, delivering an abrupt and painful reminder of the challenges ahead.
Barnes, the 2022 Kia NBA Rookie of the Year.
Barnes Barnes missed games 2 and 3, and the Raptors eventually fell in 6 games. That series set the tone for the early chapters of his career, flashes of brilliance interrupted by setbacks. His impact was undeniable, yet somehow always cut short before it could fully flourish. Still, the league was paying attention. By the summer of 2022, one of the biggest trade stories in the NBA underscored just how untouchable Scottie Barnes had already become. Kevin Durant requested a trade from Brooklyn.
Steps right on the left foot of Scottie Barnes, but Van Vliet just fouled out.
Every championship contender reached out. Toronto answered too, but with one clear, non-negotiable rule: Scottie Barnes was not available. Reports made it clear that he wasn't even part of any trade package the Nets proposed. Just 1 year into his career, the league was already treating him less like a rookie and more like a foundational piece around which a franchise could be built. Then, on November 4th, 2022, Barnes added another milestone to
breaking news out of the NBA, where Kevin Durant has requested a trade from
his resume. His first career triple-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists against Dallas. Barnes became the youngest player in Raptors history to achieve that milestone. The glimpses of a true point forward, someone capable of influencing every facet of the game, were no longer just potential, they were undeniable proof. But the next 2 seasons brought turbulence. Toronto was rebuilding around him in real time. OG Anunoby was traded to New York, Pascal Siakam shipped to Indiana, and Nick Nurse was replaced by Darko Rajakovic. The veterans who had long defined the Raptors' identity were leaving one by one. And the franchise was reshaping itself on Barnes' timeline, whether he was fully ready or not.
Dallas by 7. Barnes, the initiator of just about everything right now.
The Raptors roster was getting younger, and the weight of expectation was growing heavier on Barnes' shoulders. Then, in February 2024, the league finally acknowledged what he had earned, only for one of the harshest twists of his career to follow shortly after. On February 6th, Scottie Barnes was named an NBA All-Star, selected by Commissioner Adam Silver as a replacement for an injured player.
Raptors are entering a new era, okay? They're working around Scottie Barnes.
The recognition felt real, but so did the asterisk. Barnes hadn't been voted in by fans or coaches. He earned the call only because someone else was sidelined. Yet for a kid who had grown up battling through pickup games at a Salvation Army gym just to escape the streets, standing on that all-star stage meant everything. Then, weeks later on March 4th, Bod's disaster struck.
First time in his career, Scottie Barnes is gonna be the All-Star!
Barnes fractured the 3rd metacarpal in his left hand against Golden State. Surgery was required, and there was no timetable for his return. The breakout season that had seemed destined to cement his status suddenly flipped from "this is his moment" to "what if?" Impact followed by interruption. The cruel pattern that had marked his career so far struck again. Still, Toronto had seen enough. In July 2024, Barnes secured a 5-year max extension worth roughly $225 million, with escalators that could push the total to $270 million. An unmistakable signal that the franchise was building around him no matter the setbacks. It was the largest contract in Raptors history. The franchise wasn't just placing faith in Barnes, they were building their entire future around him. Every dollar was a wager on the kid from Riviera Beach, a bet that he would grow into the franchise cornerstone they had envisioned. Now it was his turn to prove that bet was justified. Barnes returned from hand surgery for the 2024-25 season with a point to make. The max extension was in place. The roster had been molded around him. OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam were gone. Fred VanVleet had quickly secured a 5-year, $175 million deal, and a new coaching identity under Darko Rajakovic was beginning to take shape. The stage was set and all eyes were on him.
Let's see what happens here.
For the first time, the Raptors weren't just showcasing Barnes. They were building the entire team around him, and he delivered.
Has signed a 5-year, $270 million extension.
During the 2024-25 season, he put together the best individual campaign of his career. On December 3rd, 2024, he exploded for a career-high 35 points against Indiana, proving he was far more than just a playmaker or facilitator. He was a bona fide superstar. Barnes had had proven he could take over games when it mattered most. Then, in February 2025, Toronto made its boldest move yet, acquiring Brandon Ingram from New Orleans and locking him into a 3-year, $120 million extension.
I'm looking forward to bring anything I can to help this team to continue to grow.
The message from Toronto's front office was unmistakable. Barnes wouldn't have to shoulder the load alone. The franchise was constructing a 2-star foundation with him firmly at the center. Then in June 2025, everything shifted again. Toronto made a shocking move, parting ways with Masai Ujiri, the executive who had famously selected Barnes at number 4 just years earlier.
Here's Scotty B with the 3.
Bobby Webster was promoted to take full control of basketball operations. The leaders of Toronto's championship era were gone, but Barnes' max contract remained, and with it, all the expectations that came with being the franchise cornerstone. The pick had outlasted the man who made it. The 2025-26 season quickly became his coronation. On December 28, 2025, against Golden State, Barnes put together the defining performance of his young career: 23 points, 25 rebounds, tying a Raptors franchise record, and 10 assists, leading Toronto to an overtime victory.
Scotty Barnes, 2-time All-Star. How does that sound?
Sounds good, I'm just happy we got a win.
That historic triple-double erased every lingering doubt about his potential. Then, on February 1st, 2026, Barnes earned another All-Star nod, this time selected as a reserve by the coaches. Scotty Barnes, 2-time All-Star. How does that sound? Sounds good. Honestly, I'm just happy we got the win tonight, he said. The kid who grew up in the tough streets of Riviera Beach had become the face of an entire franchise. And at just 24 years old, his story is far from finished. Remember the critics? They said Toronto wasted the pick. They said he couldn't score. They called him a project without a position. Yet the boy from the Salvation Army gym, the one whose mother worked 3 jobs to make sure her kids could walk into school with pride, is now a 2-time All-Star and the $270 million cornerstone of the Toronto Raptors. If you want more stories like this, where the real journey starts long before the draft, subscribe to Off the